friends. In today's Your Cup of Cozy video, I want to talk about a huge epiphany that I had recently and share it with you. It has to do with fear of failure, fear of success, and some pretty mind-blowing things I realized about my journey that I would love to share with you. If you are new around here, hi, my name is Annie. I'm a cozy content creator and I love talking about real life, mental health, ADHD, and all of the cozy hobbies and things. So if that sounds like your cup of cozy, grab something to sip on and let's talk. Today I am sipping on Twining's Rooibos Red Tea. It is my current favorite right now. Usually I put a little bit of oat milk in it, but today I decided to skip it. But I did put about a teaspoon of honey just to give it a little sweetness. My mug is one of my favorite little pottery mugs from World Market. Love this one. It's perfect for just a small cup of afternoon tea. I've also got my journal with me. I journaled about this when all of this kind of came about, and so I will be referencing it in my laptop, which is behind the camera, for my notes so that I stay on track. We are going to be talking about some pretty exciting and eye-opening things, so you might want to grab your journal along with your cup of something to sip on. So the reason I made this video is because I shared this epiphany with my content creator buddy group, and multiple of them told me I needed to turn it into a video. So here we are. If you guys are watching this, thank you so much for your encouragement. I would not have made this a video if you guys had not encouraged me to. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for watching. You know who you are and you're awesome. So if you've got your cup of something to sip on and your journal, let's go ahead and dive in. For a long time, I have noticed in the back of my mind, I have had this narrative going on, and I never thought it was a problem until recently. That narrative was about all of the amazing ideas I've had, where I don't actually do it. I just think about it. I daydream, because in my daydreams, every idea can be successful. It's safe as long as it's in my head. But when it comes time to actually doing it and putting it out there, putting myself out there, my idea, my brainchild out there, that feels a little bit less safe, or a lot less safe. And so I let them grow in my mind, get excited, make some notes. Some of them I've even dipped a toe in, maybe tried to get started and chickened out. And I didn't actually realize I was doing that until the pattern kind of clicked for me. And once that pattern became apparent, I started thinking back to so many ideas I've had that I've made a Notion database for, sketched out. Even some of them I did actually launch, but then when I didn't see the immediate success that I really hoped for, I stopped. And then I daydreamed some more about what could happen if I picked it back up again. And it wasn't until I noticed this pattern that I realized how far-reaching it was and was able to get to the root of it. And the root of it was fear. Fear of failure was the obvious one. That comes from having critical grandparents who raised their children, my parents, in critical homes. And then my parents were critical, and I didn't realize how much that had impacted me until I started my trauma healing journey last fall and learned about attachment pain, trauma patterns, internal narrative, all of these things that nobody really talks about unless you're in the trauma-informed space. And I think that trauma work is what ultimately led me to see this pattern in myself and understand that the root of it was a fear that was born from trauma. So this is a long-term behavioral mindset kind of issue. And I feel like a lot of us deal with that and we don't even realize it. So as an entrepreneur, most of my ideas have been product ideas, company, like brand ideas, services, stuff like that. So for me, when I talk about this, the failure is nobody bought. It didn't go anywhere. And I'm coming to realize what's so bad about that? It just means that the people who needed to see it haven't seen it yet. And that's okay, because things take time to grow and to flourish and to bloom. Just because nobody bought in the first 3 weeks because my exposure isn't that great, that doesn't mean that it was a failure, but I took it as that. And that goes back to like all the trauma stuff. So we'll just kind of wrap up fear of failure there, because that's only part of what all of this is that I'm trying to share. The other part is fear of success. Like, I have heard people talk about, oh, so-and-so, you're afraid of succeeding. And I'm like, the heck are you on about? I'm not afraid of succeeding. I want to succeed. I want success. I want to see my business take off. I want to see my product take off. What are you on about? It never made sense. And to a degree, part of me is still kind of muddling through. What does fear of success look like? What does it mean? How is it actually impacting my daily life? That's something I'm still drilling down into. But one thing that I can say, fear of success may not be fear of the success itself. It may be the trauma pattern that every time I have something good, it gets taken away. Every time I have a win and I'm up in the clouds, when I fall, it means if I fall that much harder. And so it may not be a fear of the success itself, but the trauma patterns surrounding fear of losing that success, fear of people's perception. Oh, she only got that because of X, Y, and Z. She didn't earn that. She doesn't deserve it. Or imposter syndrome. If I succeed, will I have really deserved it? Do I really deserve this success? And then that can go into fear of losing it. This really came about ultimately because I had a pretty big spiral recently, and I ended back up in that dark, scary place where I wondered, why am I even here? What is my purpose? Why do I continue to put one foot in front of the other every single day? What am I going for? What am I reaching for? And am I worth people's time and attention? Am I worth people listening to? I have found myself in that spiral so many times. And this time, after having done the trauma work, I leaned into it for the first time in my entire life. I leaned in and asked why. I asked, why am I here again? When I have a safe home. I have Desi, my dachshund, if you're new here. She's my little mini dachshund, my babe. She's my world. She's my heart. I have a partner. I have a mom and sisters. I have friends. I have cozy hobbies to enjoy. I have big ideas, huge ideas, and even huger dreams. If you've seen my starting over at 35 video, you'll know I'm going to be moving out west. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. That's a dream of mine. I want to live in California, be near the ocean. So why am I spiraling? What do I need to learn from being at rock bottom? Because if I'm back here again, there's a reason. I've noticed another pattern that kind of feeds into this as well, where if I don't learn what I need to from something, from an experience, say, from a situation, whatever, it'll come back until I learn what I need to from it. So that is why when I reached rock bottom in that spiral, I asked why I was there. And I leaned in and I listened. I listened to my body, my intuition, my own wisdom, listened to the universe. And yeah, it's because I have had some of these dreams for so long and I've let them live in my mind where it's safe. And I haven't acted on the things I'm passionate about. because of fear. And that has led me to one example I can share, my design studio. If you don't know, I'm a web and graphic designer of over 20 years, and I've had a dream of having my own studio for a long time. And that's all it's been, is a dream. I've had a couple of false starts where I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. But then I chickened out both times for one reason or another and went to work for somebody else. Now, those experiences that I had working for other people taught me a whole lot. So I'm older, wiser, more experienced, more confident now. So I don't see them as a waste. Does part of me regret not starting my studio and actually pushing through because of where I could be today if I had? Yes. Do I regret those experiences and what they taught me and where they have brought me? No, absolutely not. So there's a difference there. Part of me is still like, Annie, if you had done it in 2018, that's 7 years, you could be where you want to be right now. Could, yes. There's a lot of variable in there. I didn't have the experience in 2018 with working with clients that I got with my last 2 to 3 jobs. I didn't know the people back then that I do now who, for years, drilled into my brain the fact that I had skills and talents that were really desperately needed and could see my potential when I couldn't see it in myself. I didn't have that back then. And I do now. And working under them and working with them for 2 to 3 years, I can't even remember how long it's been, I've had the benefit of their wisdom and guidance and belief in me. And so now, stepping into building my studio, I am a very different person than I was. My belief in myself is so much stronger. So now I have the awareness of what I can do, what I'm capable of, how powerful I am. I have people in my community. I'm not in this alone. I have other powerful women entrepreneurs to cheer me on. Didn't have that then. I have practical experience with clients and SOPs and all of these things that I didn't have then. And most importantly, I have the awareness of those patterns that were holding me back. The behaviors, the thought patterns that were holding me back. The fear, how it was holding me back. Now that I'm aware of it, I can change my behavior. I can actively take a role in changing how I think and speak about it. And when I catch myself in a daydream about an idea, taking time to daydream about it, instead of taking time to do it, I can go, hold up. I'm back in my head. And I can say, is this something I need to do right now? If it's not, if it's going to take too much energy to, and I need to be focusing on other stuff, yes, I still make notes. I still jot things down. I still, all of that. And it goes into my idea board, basically. Because on the flip side of this is I have so many ideas that have been floating around in my head for so long. I have a backlog, and my ADHD wants me to work on all of them right now. But I don't have that kind of energy. I think the main takeaway that I would love for you to have from this video, aside from awareness, because I shared this struggle in myself, and if you have it too, now you will have that awareness. That's the big one. But the other big takeaway is that we can use this fear as a compass to show us what we need to be doing. Because if you have an idea that just lights you up, it's so real to you that you have to think about it. You have to go and do it or whatever. And you find yourself being blocked from it by fear. That fear is a narrative from trauma, from other people, from learned behaviors, but it can point you in the right direction. And so if you are afraid of failing or succeeding at doing something that you just, oh my God, I have to do this, like ugh, this is it for me. I'm sure that all of you have had those ideas. Every single one of you have had those incredible ideas. The fear is trying to protect us. It's our nervous system, it's our brain, it's our experiences trying to come together and hold us back from something that could potentially cause disappointment or negativity. But what fear says isn't fact. So by looking at where fear is showing up in your ideas and where you're allowing it to hold you back, you might just uncover the exact thing you're meant to do. You might just find your ikigai by following that breadcrumb trail of fear. So I feel like that is something worth meditating on, journaling about. So now that I've talked about kind of like the epiphany and understanding the pattern, identifying it, and starting to alter my behavior, I want to also share a couple of tools that really, really helped me. One of those was human design. I got the human design app by Jenna Zoe. She also has a website. I put in my stuff, found out what my chart is, and started learning about me as a generator and what that means. And so much clicked into place. It's like the app read my journal from the last 20 years. Like, I kid you not. It was incredible. So that has really helped me understand how I'm wired and remove shame where, oh, I do things differently than the norm. That's not something to be ashamed of. That's part of my human design. That's part of who I am. It's part of how I'm wired. That's something to be celebrated. So just to throw that out there, I'll be sure to link the human design website that I used in the description, so that way you can check it out if you want to. Another tool that I found very helpful was tapping. I discovered it when I came across Brittany Watkins on Instagram. She uses tapping in a more trauma healing, weight loss kind of context, which has been absolutely incredible and eye-opening. So definitely something to take a look at. But I kind of took the basics of what I learned in her masterclass, the free one that I did, and applied it to fear as well. So I'll also link her in the description if you want to check her out. I'm very new to tapping, very introductory, I'm just dipping my toe in, but I've already seen some results. So I wanted to mention it just in case. Another thing that's really helped is journaling, which if you have been on my channel for a while, you know I love journaling. We've done many journaling sessions together in my vlogs. So that has really been incredible as far as getting things out of my head onto paper and finding clarity and insight in my thoughts. So that's been really good. In fact, if you would like for me to share a little bit more about what I journaled and maybe turn it into an exercise that I could share, let me know in the comments. I would be happy to do that and post it over on Substack, so that way you guys can maybe use it as an exercise in your own journey as well. And lastly, before I wrap up the video, I thought it would be fun to share some of the big ideas that I have had that fear has kept me back from. And also share that I have decided 2025, which is when I'm recording this, is the year I do my dreams. It is. Period. So I thought I would share this as kind of documentation for my future self, but then also to show you guys the wide range of ideas and dreams that this can apply to. So some of the things on this list, if you've been watching my vlogs, you will have heard about, because I did have this realization weeks ago and started working on some of these things. So apologies if it's a little bit redundant. But for those of you who haven't watched those, I want to go ahead and share the full list. So the first one is my web design studio, which I started web design in 2001, started freelancing in 2004. In 2018, like I said earlier, is when I first thought, oh, I could do this full time. And then nothing. And then last year, I was like, maybe I really need to do that. And I got started, and then I stopped. And then it came back around a couple months ago, and I was like, this keeps coming back around for a reason. So anyway, another one is my novel. I had a dream in I want to say October of 2020. And it was so real. I wrote it down, the whole thing, and I was like, this is a scene from a novel. I have got to make a novel where this fits in. And this fantasy world, it's a romantasy novel. This fantasy world has been living in my head ever since. 4.5 years now. I have about 30 to 35,000 words written in the novel, so I've got a good chunk of it written. And it's time for it to come out into the world and be a thing, you know? Be a book on people's shelves that they can enjoy. The next one is my knitting YouTube channel that I started in 2018 and did for a while, all the way up through 2020, I think, when I stopped dyeing yarn because the pandemic crashed all of my plans because I was going to take that full time. And I went back to work at Haverty's Furniture and kind of took a break from knitting after that for quite a while. I posted a tutorial in March of 2020 and it's continued to get views and comments of people saying, can you please remake this with better lighting? So 5 years, almost to the week, is when I finally did it. Because I realized I was sitting on that channel. It has over 1,000 subs. I could get it to a place where it's monetized. But I thought, it's just in my back pocket. I'll have time later. I can do it another time when I need the monetization, blah, 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 blah. Well, I've started posting videos and I'm getting views. So there you go. Another one is my Cosy office product line. In my vlogs, I know some of you have seen my desk and my desk mat. I ordered this desk mat almost 2 years ago as a sample to test out the product and see what I thought, see what the colors are like, all of that, with the intention of launching a Cosy office product line 2 years ago. Yeah. Another one is digital products like my branding workbook. I know I've mentioned it in a few vlogs that I was working on a branding workbook for people to basically find their voice for their brand and find alignment in what they're doing. And I got quite a bit of it done. I've wanted to do this for over a year. I thought about turning it into a course, and then I thought, no, that's a bit much for me. It's a big endeavor to do a course, I know, because I've helped somebody else build courses, and it's a lot. So I thought, okay, digital workbook, cool. I got quite a bit of it done, and then I put it down. Another one is actually a product that I launched 2 years ago called Noetic Book. And it's basically a digital product that you use in GoodNotes on iPad. And it is a planner, journal, diary, brain dump, to-do list, like everything all in one, built to be very ADHD friendly. So very minimal design, very accessible price point. You get it. You can use it as many times as you want in GoodNotes because you can duplicate pages. And I built it because it's what I needed and realized that other people with ADHD could totally benefit. So I launched it in June of 2022. No, 23. So almost 2 years ago. And then just kind of, because I didn't have the exposure and the following and, all of that stuff. So it didn't really go anywhere. I sold, I think, 2 or 3. Same with my Notion templates. And then there are cozy hobbies that I would really, really, really like to get into. One of them I have. Literally last week, I got into clay. I got some air dry clay. I got some tools. And I loved it. I had so much fun. It was just... is going to be my new hobby, like my new crafting hobby. And then there's getting back into art. When I was 10, 11, 12, maybe up to like 14, 15, I drew all the time. Self-taught. Before I started reading and before I got into writing stories, drawing was my hobby. I did it all the time. I loved it. I loved doing fan art of my favorite characters from Lord of the Rings, like imaginary creatures, all of that. And I want to rediscover that magic. And I have a list of ideas that I would love to make. And then lastly is taking voice lessons. And there are 2 parts to that. singing voice lessons and actual voice acting voice lessons. My mom sang opera in college, and I have pretty good pitch, and I love singing. In the car, I'm all about that singing. But I'm not confident in my voice. I don't know how to use my voice and sound amazing. So I'd love to find that in myself. And then also, I've been told that my speaking voice is really, really nice. I would love to be able to maybe do some voice acting gigs at some point. I don't know, voice a video game character? That'd be kind of cool. You know? I mean, like, I don't know how you get into that, but it would just be so fun. Even if it was just how to utilize my voice for guided meditations or narration for my own videos or whatever, like to make the experience on my YouTube channel better and my content better. So that's a lot. Like, and I've just had all of these things sitting in my mind, chilling. And yeah, like, oh my gosh. I forgot one other big one. I've had it on my heart for years to start a mental health organization and or a podcast. I haven't done that either. Literally 3 or 4 years I've been thinking about it. You know, it's like, so what are you waiting for? To be less afraid. You're never going to feel less afraid, probably. So go do it anyway. That's where I'm at. So I think my list has shown that so many areas can be impacted by this. Starting a new career, content creation ideas, starting a new business, moving somewhere new, staying in relationships that don't move us closer to the future we want, trying a new hobby, developing a new product. There are so many areas in life that can be impacted by this. And I hope that my sharing this kind of unlocks that for you so that you can go and do the things. Because that's what I'm doing. 2025 is the year I do my dreams. Period. So why don't we do it together? Why don't we do it together? If this video resonated with you, please drop me a comment. Let me know. I would be over the moon to know that my sharing this has had an impact in your life. And I would also love to know what dreams you've been sitting on, what you've been afraid to go and do. I'd love to cheer you on too. So thank you so much for watching this video, for listening to me, for allowing me to speak into your life. And I will see you in the next one. Stay cozy.